Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina.
And we're
emotional. Yeah, we're together.
Yes, in person.
And live.
Well,
Sort of live. Live and in person.
We're not live. She's like, we're live? What is happening? So clearly we're a group setting tonight.
We got a
new group.
Yes.
Semi-new.
Semi-new. We have some returnees.
For girls' night. Day 1 A1s.
Yes. So, introductions.
This is Blue.
Queen of the attention.
Yes.
And then, who wants to? Stephanie.
I'm Michelle.
Oksana. Carrie.
Who are you?
And together we fight crime and talk about emotions.
Yes. So tonight, first we want to say thanks to Joanne Stewart, Kevin Gallagher, and Therese Gallagher for your support.
Our patrons on Patreon. Thank you all.
Yes. So now what we're going to talk about tonight, because me and Oksana were kind of having a conversation earlier, we're going to talk about like second chances. So it can be relationships, it can be friendships, but just like, what are your thoughts on second chances? Do you give second chances? If you do, are there like terms and conditions to these second chances? So yeah.
Are you ready to get emotionally full?
Are you ready?
Are you?
Are you? Are you?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you?
Are you
ready?
ready?
No. So I guess I'll chime it off, start it, because me and Oksana, we were talking. How do we get into it? Because I was saying about how with me and so we don't obviously say names, but like me and my ex, I felt like with him, I gave him a whole bunch of chances.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think I'm very like,
No more second
cutthroat,
chances.
yeah, like, and like sometimes I think of you actually, when I'm like talking to someone new. You know me, I'm very like, and so sometimes I have to remind myself, like, oh, maybe they're just trying to be flirty and playful, because I'll like read into it of like, oh no, I don't play like that, you know, like that's not cute. But then I'm like, oh, maybe they're just trying to like be cute. So I have to like, you know, kind of back up a little and be like, Karlie, like that's just like how people flirt, and because I feel like I'm out the game. I don't know how. So, what are you?
Well, I feel like it's different the way what we were talking about, like in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they make a mistake, yeah, you can forgive them as long as they're not constantly making that same mistake. You know what I mean?
So do you think you're gonna be more kind of like watching them like eagle eye of like, you made that mistake again?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But I think we're humans and we make mistakes. You know what I mean?
But I also think it's really easy if you've been burned in a relationship to go to the opposite end and like the extreme. Like Karlie, you and I have talked about that before. 'Cause you're like, no, I'm not doing this. Like red flag. And so I think you're learning that like it's okay that people have those, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's like a repeat of the previous relationship. But it's so easy to jump because you don't want to be hurt again. You don't want to feel the betrayal, and you do that to protect yourself.
Well, also I think like, since I'm perfect, I expect perfection. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god. There's like
You know, I mean that to like toot my own horn.
I was like, she's really gonna go say that.
That's like, but you know what I think about too? I think about with you, remember, I remember our fights. And I feel like even when we fought a few times, I was like, I cut you off. And you had to like chase me.
Yeah.
She did. Like, I can remember two of our big fights. One after high school, where you showed up at my parents' house.
And
then
then
in college at our apartment, she was like, I know you're home, your light is on.
I know.
Because I wouldn't respond. I just was like, all right, fine. You don't want to talk to me? Cool.
But I feel like that's what I said about like changed behavior. Like
Yeah.
you kind of recognize like, hey, listen, like this person means a lot to me, you know, like, I fucked up, you apologize, and then you move on from that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with second chances regardless. I can give you a million chances as long as they're not the same consistent chances, because then, bro, you're not really listening to me at that point. You're just, just because I forgave you a couple times from that situation, it's like, I can't forgive you if you keep making the same fucking mistake, because it sorry doesn't mean anything at that point.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think that's where my head is. No matter if that's relationship, friendship, or whatever, it's like, if you keep fucking me up over, like,
I agree with that, but I think what, like Shamina was saying, is like when you've been burned in a relationship, sometimes you're not able to distinguish the differences, and so I think like immediately, sometimes some people are like, no, you know, and just like it's one strike, you're out.
Well, if you're seeing the same behavior and it's not changing, that starts to, it breaks the trust. And I've recently been talking about this podcast Brene Brown has done about the pillars of trust, and she identifies this acronym that she uses. It's called braving, and one of the R in braving is reliability. So will you consistently show up? Will you take the accountability, which is the A in braving? And when that doesn't happen, the trust starts to break in those relationships because you're not consistent. You can't show up for me. You'll say one thing and you'll do the opposite, and I think that starts to kind of break into our ability to believe other people, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship. And so it does take those changes in behavior to see and say like, oh, maybe I can give this person another chance. Maybe it's worth it.
I think reliability is huge. Like, as you're saying it, I think about it, because that was one thing, like, with my ex, I couldn't rely on him for anything. Like, especially with important things in my life that, you know, they were important to me, but the way that he acted and his actions, he didn't give a fuck, you know? And, like, so then it was just like, I can't rely on you for shit. And that's, like, and you know, so it definitely broke it down to where it was just, like, it broke it. It was just like, I don't trust you, like.
Yeah, but my whole thing is, like, say you can rely on somebody for something. So, you have this person or a friendship, and you rely on, like, when you need them, they're there for you, right? Yeah. But then if they do something to fuck up, right, that's making a mistake, and you're forgiving them. So those are, to me, like, two separate things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you can have somebody that, like, I rely on my mom and stuff, you know, like, she'll always be there at the end of the day, but if she says or does something to piss me off,
but it
or, like,
balances
whatever,
out. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Like you said, like, if you're always there for me, and then one time you do something, I'm not gonna be like, Oksana is out. Yeah. But, like, if it's something of, like, okay, well, now it's starting to be, like, you're not here for me, then that's when I feel like I'm going to be like, yo, like, you know, so.
No, and I think it's important to define what is the second chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because is it, like, for me, second chances automatically, like, you know, based off, like, past experiences is, like, infidelity. So is that a second chance, or is it like, you know, reliability? Can I rely on you to do X, Y, and Z, like keeping your word? You know what I mean? Oh no, my bad, I didn't do that. Okay, I'll give you another chance. So it's like what are we talking about? Giving a second chance on what?
I think it depends on the circumstance.
And it's funny because not funny, but I think the way that you just like kind of interpret it in your sense, it makes a lot of sense, because how Oksana kept bringing up mistakes, but
that's
to me now, I think when I think of a second chance, that's like, bro, this is your last chance. Like you said, like you had to do something major. So to be more specific, with my ex, there was a time where I found out that he was hanging out with his ex. But what upset me, because I knew that he would hang out with his ex. Like, I knew that was a thing. But what upset me, and I was just like, I'm done. And then I was like, this is a second chance, was because I asked him what he did for the day, because I could not get a hold of him. And then he told me, he's like, oh, I went to the beach. I was like, by yourself all day? He's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'm going to go shower. I knew he was lying. I just didn't know. So then when I get out the shower, he's like, okay, like, I was with my ex. And I was like, I'm done. Like, you lied to my face, and you lied to my face about being with your ex. And so I was like, I'm done, bro. I'm done. But so then, like, when I gave him a second chance, it was like, that was like, you need to, like, that can't happen again.
But what can't? Because he continued hanging out with her.
lying to my face about
Okay,
it.
so the lying piece.
I mean,
was
I
the
didn't
second.
like him hanging out with her.
No, but the second chance was that he had lied. That
Yeah, like, don't lie to me
so
about what
he-
you're doing.
He never lied again about hanging out.
I don't know.
No, but that you
Well,
know. You know
that-
what I mean?
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
that like that.
Yeah,
So that second chance, you know.
yeah. Well, because I think I was so, like, I'm done. Like,
And
I was
also,
like,
I think it's about like learning opportunities too.
Mhm.
Like you come into a relationship, and obviously the lying part is bad, right? But then certain parts of a relationship, you're like, all right, is that really too bad to hang
Break
out with
up.
her?
Or like
Or right? Is that
Mhm.
really? Can I really be that upset where I'm going to break up with you because
Yes.
you hung out with them?
Mhm.
Like that kind of thing. I see what you're saying. Where a second chance is like, all right, we talked about it. Now we can work on it and move forward. But if it happens again, you already know it upsets me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're just
Yeah.
telling me you don't.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
The
yes.
conversations, like communication, things,
Yeah.
conversations you need to have with the partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's boundaries.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're talking about is relationship boundaries.
Yeah.
Is that what that
I'm like, boundaries. I'm like, you're talking about boundaries or talking about
Well, it's funny because I feel like now that I'm in this dating world, I feel like personally I'm learning the compromise and like and not being so extreme because like with how you mentioned and like how I was telling you of like sometimes when I'm talking to people, if they do like one little thing that I'm like, oh, I don't like that, I'm like, I cut them off. I'm like, eh. But then like if I look back, like there have been instances where Michelle will be like, Karlie, that was not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I just like ran with it. And I was like,
Emotion.
he meant that, and I'm not okay with that. And then she was just like, nah, I think he was just trying to play around and like flirt. And then I'm over here like, that is not okay. So I think like for me it's just scary because it's like being vulnerable, you know, of like allowing me to like kind of like have that playfulness with someone again and like almost like that trust of like, all right, I'm trusting you that you're not like fucking me over and this isn't gonna end. And so it's hard. It's like that balance of like, do I want to jump into that pool
Right.
again? I don't know. So
Yeah, no, I can relate to that because it's like the reason why you're like that is because in the past, like for example, for me, like I've been in a relationship and like what you said, it's like, you know, I find, you know, you go through your significant other's phone and it's a very like, it starts off with like a very like normal conversation with a random person or like, you know what I mean? That is like, okay, I'm not going to break up with them because they're having a conversation
Yeah.
Right.
with so-and-so.
yeah,
But then it goes on to like little flirtation.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, but I'm not going to break up because they're flirting with them. But then it escalates to a picture.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
exchange pictures, you know what I mean? Then it's like meeting up. So it's like, where do you draw that line? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And you know it's funny because that reminded me. I remember like maybe like it was when I had just started grad school or like right. So that was like maybe 2 years in, 3 years in. I don't know. My time concept is
Yeah.
so
when you
off.
started?
I think so.
Yeah. How many
That's
years
like-
was that in with my relationship? Like 2 or 3 years in, something
think
like
so.
that.
I don't think it was that long. When you started grad school,
Or
you
it
were
was-
pretty young.
Or was it after? It was right after grad school.
So
whatever the
it was
case,
2,
it was
3
around-
years.
We went out and he had me hold his phone. Tell me how I go to the bathroom. I'm like, where's this motherfucker's phone? I go through it, but I wanted to go through it to see his text messages with the ex that he was friends with. Well, I ended up coming across text with, because he was in school at the time, with a girl that he was in class with. Him telling her, I've been thinking about you for the past 20
See,
minutes.
that's where I
30
would have
minutes.
said, fuck no.
No, yeah, so
I would have
I-
been like, absolutely not. Get the fuck out of here.
Bro, so I went downstairs.
You
But
remember
do
that one
we
time
do
when I
that?
found through the phone and I was like, I'm out of here, and I went to your house crying?
I think so.
But were you done with the person?
No.
We're done in the moment. That's
Right.
the thing.
Yeah.
We're
Listen,
done.
listen,
This is
But-
okay. We can work past it because I
Right.
think a relationship takes work and like,
Okay.
you know,
But it's
and I'm
like, what's
what was
that
happening?
boundary?
Yeah.
What's that-
But what's your degree to
because-
the betrayal?
Yeah.
So
So,
listen, I go downstairs and I'm like, take me home. I want to go home.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, nah, bro,
Don't
don't
act stupid. Don't give me your
No,
thing.
and I gave him his phone. He was like, you went through my phone. And then he turned it to make him the victim of like, I can't believe you went through my phone. To the point to where he was making me feel bad. So then on my way home, like at the end of our night, I was like, damn, like, here's the thing. This is, I think, why I knew I should not have given him a second chance.
Of course not.
Because
You
to
shouldn't
this
give second
day,
chance.
I never forgot that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How
Like
it makes you
for
feel.
that
For
instance,
sure.
because
And then he
technically
played,
I forgave him, but that was always something that I think I held over his head because it was like, how dare you? You didn't even give me attention like that. Like I've been trying to like get your attention, and then I find in your phone, like I was trying to plan things because he was in school, I was in school, and like we weren't really. And then you're out here, no.
But I have to say though, it's because when I went through my ex's phone, and I actually was messaging people on Instagram.
On their phone?
No, on mine, because I saw he was
Oh, yeah,
liking her pictures, and I said, hey, like, just so you know, this is my person.
Oh, wow.
And she was kind enough to be like, hey, yeah, he came to where she works, asking to take her out,
Oh.
you know, trying to plan things, driving down to see her, and that is when I drew the line right there.
Yeah.
That was because there was multiple mistakes. Like with the first time when I caught the phone, this was with a different ex. That happened, and that never happened again.
Yeah.
But with my recent ex, it happened multiple
So
times.
what
So,
about?
that it goes back to how you were saying how you never did that for
No.
me. You didn't
This
try to
is
take
on
me out on a date. You never tried to do this. So that's when I gave you multiple chances, and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's when you're like, fuck now, like.
But here's my thing. What about the first ex that just when you saw the phone thing, you were done? What was different about it with this ex that it wasn't the phone, but it was the fact that they were wanting to go out? You know what I'm saying? Like, what
Because it
was
happened
different?
with multiple different people.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
But I'm saying with your first ex, you just saw the phone thing and you were done.
yeah, because I didn't get it. It was like the messages wasn't like, oh, I'm thinking about you or anything. It's like, oh, like let's meet up or
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
and then. Oh, it was good seeing you again. So
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, to me, I think that was just respectful because it was their
Yeah,
ex. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
you're with me now, but you're texting your ex
Yeah.
about meeting up with them. Like, that's disrespectful to me. And it was when he was sleeping, I went through his phone. But,
Bro.
but at the end of the day, I didn't fight. I didn't say anything. I just put the phone there and then I left.
But this
You know,
is the
like-
thing. Guys give a shit about going through their phone, but why we always find something when
Exactly.
we do?
So, okay, this is probably off of like the second chances part. But do you think if you're going through someone's phone that you need to be in that relationship?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think if you, because you're already losing that trust, that
Right.
you feel like you need to go through that person's phone.
Yeah.
But you don't want to give up on that.
Yeah, but
person.
then imagine if you didn't find anything and you're like, man, like, I really should trust this. And then you would never go through their phone again, probably. Do you know what I'm saying?
But-
But we have this intuition that's like,
and you trust
hey,
your
listen,
gut.
like they're not being consistent with their actions.
Yeah.
That's why there's a lack of trust. But if they were like literally giving us,
But that's why I'm
You know what I
saying, like, we guys will be like, oh, girls go through our phone. But I find something when I do. It's not, yeah.
For it.
But you know what I mean?
No.
Like, you
I
shouldn't
don't-
though. It shouldn't be that
They're
way.
looking for it.
I don't
For
know.
me, it's like second chances. After my last relationship, my personal opinion is I would never do it again because I feel like it's bound to happen regardless.
You would never do a second chance.
No. For me, it's like if
You're one and done.
yes, because it's like in the future, I feel like it's always meant for you not to be with that person.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's like
It's the universe
going to
telling you
happen.
something.
Yes,
Yeah,
like in the future,
100%.
like it's not going to work out.
I 100% agree with that because I feel.
I was gonna say like I am 100% with you, but I would like to think right that
Absolutely.
people are together, they break up for different reasons, and years down the road they come back together, and I think that trust can be
I think
rebuilt. You know what I
maybe
mean?
my mind works.
But with
I
a
think
lot
there's
of
a
work,
communication,
there's
But
work
you're saying
that you need
taking
to
a
put in.
break. You're saying they separate and come back
Like
together
that
down
can
the
happen,
road.
or even if you don't take a break and you decide to do that second chance, there's a lot of work that needs to be
Yeah.
put into it that a lot of people don't do. Don't put in the work,
This is what we were
therefore
saying
it continues
earlier.
to
Yeah.
happen.
I think for me, infidelity is like the one thing that I wouldn't be able to give a second
But what do you
chance to.
consider infidelity? Just
Like
physical?
the text
Is it
stuff,
emotional? But I'm saying because, like, for me, if I find out that my man is going to another woman, confiding in her, his, like, fears
Yeah,
and things
no.
like that, to me, that's not okay because I should be your
But
person.
remember how a while back we had this conversation and you're like, you would never give up one of your guy friends for another
But I'm
man?
not going to my guy friends
But what
about
if
my
you were?
concerns.
But what if you were?
Concerns
So
about
That's
your
disrespectful. I'm not
relationship?
no,
going to do
so
that.
like say if you and Kendall have a really good friendship, right? and you talk to him about everything.
Mhm.
And then say you're going through work stress and you're like, man, work is stressing me out. I'm feeling like this, X, Y, and Z. You are confiding your emotions to that man.
But you should
What do
be
you mean?
going to your partner, I feel like, first.
Okay,
Like,
so you go to him first, then you also talk, like,
because here's the thing,
Sharing
if I'm,
emotions with multiple
yeah,
people.
what's the difference?
because I'm
But-
a very open person with my,
but what
like,
if your
every-
man didn't feel comfortable with it? Would
That's
you be
a
like,
talk that
would you
we're
be like, no,
gonna
that's a
have.
red flag because I'm not giving up my relationship with Kendall?
No, I think it's a compromise. I think if I'm going to say
Sorry,
me and you
we
are
yell.
dating. Oh yeah, that's how we are. But say me and you are dating. I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna go to you, let you know how I'm feeling, but you know that I'm an open person. I'm gonna tell other people, and then I go to you and tell you, and then say we're all hanging out and you bring it up. I feel like you wouldn't be mad because you knew
You already
about
know.
it. But say you bring it up, and then
So
you're
she's
like,
saying you
what
don't
the
tell
fuck?
me
You,
at
I
all.
didn't even know that you're
So
going
you
through
don't
this.
even tell me.
That's
okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Of like, if I'm confiding in you, I don't even let them know, and then
Yeah.
three of us
I
hang
get
out.
it, I get it, okay.
So that's where I don't think that that's appropriate.
For
So-
sure, 100%.
There's two other people.
Yeah,
on the
sorry.
side of the couch. But there's a different level of intimacy there when it's your partner that you're confiding in, but also
What the fuck is that?
Wait, you know,
What is that?
Stephanie never answered about the infidelity.
Even there?
Remember about
right.
physical
So
touch.
we'll
Okay.
get to that.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead because I don't know how to answer that question. I'll be honest.
So there's a different level of intimacy between going to your partner about kind of your emotions and going to a friend. And it sounds like for you, Karlie, like there's that line of if I'm going to a friend in the same emotional, intimate way that I would a partner, that's like a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know that I'm an openly emotional person, and I go to you guys and show my emotions. But I think when I'm in a relationship, the way that I go to my partner and show my emotions is different than I'm gonna go to you guys. Even though I am emotional with you guys.
I feel like that has to be communicated in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
even though your partner might know that you're open, like she said, will they be okay with you
Yeah.
being that open with other people?
I agree. I think that a whole bunch of communication has to happen in every relationship, no matter what. And then you find that compromise and that happy medium and that middle ground. But I'm just saying, like, for me personally, if I'm finding out that, like, my partner is going to their friends and confiding, especially, like, a female, and confiding in them, and I don't even know about what they're going through, and I find out, like, third party or just,
So
like,
is that
cheating.
cheating?
To learn about it
To
too.
me, that is.
Yeah.
To me, that is. Because that's, like, an emotional...
But I think that's a part of
part
the
of your
relationship when
being.
you know that there's a disconnect that
Yes.
you kind of already clocked out at that point if you aren't communicating with your partner.
Yeah.
So why be with them?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
But I think it's easier said than done.
Right.
Yeah.
Even Michelle said, you know, but did you stay with them? Or, but in the moment we do these things, and it's easy for us to sit here and have these communications, but when we're in those relationships, Karlie, you stay in that relationship for 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm
Whoa,
sorry.
calm down!
But it's
No,
the
it's
truth.
true.
It's easy
No,
for
it
us to
is.
be like, we'll never do it again. But
when you're in the
I've been
situation-
in multiple relationships where I've given multiple chances, and every time I leave, oh, never again, and then it still happens.
Yeah, because you care about the person, and you want them to change, you want to see them get better, and so because you care about them and love them, you're like, oh, you said you're gonna change, okay, I'm gonna give you another chance, but that's what I'm saying about now, me being in the dating world, of like, I'm trying to find that balance, because now, in my head, you're not gonna change. So who you're showing me is who you are, but I know that that's an extreme.
I think maybe the way that like the things that you learn from relationships, you learn to have those conversations differently. Where like before, you know, he made you feel bad about looking through his phone, and you immediately felt bad, and then like immediately forgave him. In the future, in a different relationship, that might be like the conversation may go a different way. It may not be just as easy as, oh well, now I feel bad that I went.
Yeah.
It might be like an extended conversation or something different.
I wouldn't drop it as quickly as I
Yeah.
did, because I think because one, it was my first relationship, and just the way that it was twisted, I didn't know what to do, so I was just like, okay, you know, but now, like you said, from learning, I'm gonna be like, okay, no, we need to have a longer conversation about this, of like, yeah, I shouldn't have gone through your phone, but let's talk about what I found from going through your phone, and we need to discuss that. Yeah.
Because I don't think I would consider that, like, the specific scenario you just said, I don't think I'd consider that infidelity. Definitely a conversation. But I don't know what my line is.
Yeah.
Now that you asked, I'm like,
You know? But that's the thing, because I think whenever someone says infidelity, they immediately think physical, if you having sex with
that is
someone
my
else.
first thought, yes.
But for
That
me,
emotional connection is a lot.
I think that's almost
I
sometimes
think that's
bigger
more,
for
that's
me.
me.
For
I
me,
think it's
like
bigger
that
than emotional.
Yes, that
I think
emotional.
that's far worse than physical, because at the end of the day, I'm like, thinking with the wrong head, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I can work past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when
I don't
it's
think I can
emotional,
work
it's like
past
you
that,
really.
physical. I feel it.
I don't know if I could work past that. I feel like physically, like, my body would feel weird with that person.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on that too, but I think I don't know if I could get past it.
No, because
physically.
my thing is, like, you don't just, even if it is physical and like, oh my god, but you don't just have sex with someone. It's like,
unless they're drunk and they went out and then they
but even then, you offered a drink or you accepted a drink.
Right.
That's already a decision.
Yeah.
You exchange numbers. You went to their house. That's already a decision. You know what I mean? So it's not like drunk nights. No, because
I mean, I'm not saying
things that
I
led
could
up to
forgive
it.
after physical. I'm not. I'm just saying I'm also not down with emotional. Like, that's just as big for me as it is physical.
For sure.
But going back to what you were saying about how, like, you feel like second chances, like, you don't give second chances because you feel like that's kind of like saying, like, you guys shouldn't work. I feel like I agree with you on that because, again, I'm only basing it on my past relationship, but I feel like there were so many times that I gave second, third, fourth, fifth chances, and now I think about it, and I think it was the universe telling me, I'm not supposed to be with this person.
But
and
we don't see it that way.
Right, but I'm saying after reflecting on it, I'm like, it just,
shit.
there were so many points to where eventually after time, it built up to where it was like, I'm not letting you look past this. I'm not going to let, like, the universe saying, like, you're not going to be blinded to this. I'm going to put something in front of you that you cannot look past, and you're going to have to, so, like, I feel like for you, I agree in that sense.
What was that breaking point?
I think it was living together. I think being in the same space with this person all of the time, and then COVID hit, we couldn't go out, and we just had different views on COVID too. Like, he was very lax with it, and I was like, especially when it first hit, I was like, nah, bro, I'm Lysoling. Like, I was like, I'm not playing that game. I was wearing my gloves at the grocery, and so he just wasn't respecting me, because I was like, you're making me uncomfortable going out and hanging out with your friends when we're in a lockdown right now. Like, we have a curfew. And so I think just, like, us being together 24/7, I was like, we're different. We are
just so funny because, like, obviously outside looking in, I don't know about you guys, but I can see how different you guys were, But it's, like, so funny that it took that much for you to open your eyes to see how different you were.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like all my friends knew.
But I challenge what you had said. And Carrie, kind of your perspective too. I can understand it, but I also challenge it in the sense of, God damn it, I forgot the whole thing I was gonna say.
I challenge you.
I don't challenge my train of thought, but
Challenge
okay.
decline.
Let me get it back. So it also okay. So this is what I was talking about, is denial, because I think that you knew.
Oh,
And it only took, like, he is right here in my living space to fully accept it. And I feel like the denial piece is huge, which is why we choose to stay in relationships, or we choose to give second chances over and over and over again, because we don't want to accept what's happening. Or we don't want to accept, like, maybe this isn't my person. But also, kind of going back to, like, the boundaries piece is, if you have two people who have not been in healthy relationships, or they don't know their own personal boundaries, or have difficulty communicating, you're gonna run into those issues time and time again. And so, yes, it could be that the universe is telling you you're not supposed to be together, but it could also be you haven't learned how to communicate with that person. You haven't learned how to express your needs, what your personal boundaries are, and it takes these experiences. Go ahead.
I have a question for you then, though, because I agree that there's a learning curve when you are in a relationship with someone, but when do you realize, like, okay, like, we are trying and it's not, like, you know, like, when do you, well, I don't know the word, yeah, when do you draw the line? Yeah, like, where's your limit? Because there is a learning curve, like, I'm not gonna know how you, it's even in friendships, we have to learn how to communicate, like, I communicate with you differently than I communicate with you, and whatever, but if that other, like, when do you know, like, okay, like, bro, we're not freaking learning anymore, like, this is just a cycle now that we're in.
I think this goes back to when she says that separation, giving each other time to think about, hey, this is what they were actually trying to say, you know what I mean, like, you know how you said when you separate, you go your own way?
I think that's different too. I think that's what she was saying is more like about growth. Like you
that's
separate,
learning.
You went your own route. Like,
yeah.
You in the moment y'all thought you were
later,
breaking.
you come back.
So if I was complaining to you, like, you're not communicating, you're not texting me, like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, then I'm like, okay, let's cut it off, then we don't talk. But then I'm texting Karlie, and Karlie's like, bro, you're not communicating, you're not letting me know that you're on your way, you're not doing this. And then I'm like, oh shit, like, this is a common reoccurring issue, I need to work on that. Then I'm learning to communicate better. So then if I meet with you again in the future, I had learned through that process, and that, does that make sense?
But you're willing to accept her feedback, and I think that's the difference. That's where, like, the changed behavior that you were talking about earlier. But also, again, like, going back to the boundary, there is this personal boundary that we set of I've had enough, or you know, it's like the definition of insanity. I'm the same thing's happening over and over, and I'm expecting a different result. So when is it that I've had enough? I can't try anymore because I'm hitting this wall.
Rock bottom.
Right, but it starts draining your being.
Literally
oh
drain.
my gosh, like
But I feel like it shouldn't get to that point.
But it does.
Yeah.
That was.
I think it's harder to recognize. So
in a perfect world, it should not.
But so let me give you a good example. Is in my last relationship, we were together for 4.5 years, and I would wait because we were in college at the time. So I was like, let me wait until after this semester. Things are gonna get better. This new stressor happened. You're doing this internship. I started grad school. We did couples counseling. Let me hold out for that. And so I was waiting and waiting for these milestones to see if things would change. And I remember sitting in my therapist's office, and she's like, Shamina, you have done everything you possibly can in the past 4.5 years, and nothing's changing. And I think that was my light bulb, because we feel like we're never doing enough. And so, again, that's kind of like going back to, like, what Carrie said is like, nope, like, one and done. Like, that's her personal boundary. And
no, I'm not saying like that, because I agree with what you were saying too. Like, you make a mistake, all right, let's have a conversation, we can fix it. But if it's like a continuous cycle, after we have that conversation, like,
there better be changes,
or a step towards trying. Like, I need to see that you're trying. You know, like, there's got to be energy towards that.
But I think so. I'm gonna make
because I have something. Yeah, I was like, because there's something I want to chime in from the last podcast that we did. But
I think that what you were saying about, like, sorry, I had my finger in your face. What were we just saying? Because I was gonna say of, like, we were saying, like, you get drained in, like, society, whatever, and I think that in how you said we feel like we're never doing enough. And I want to go back to when me and you were having a conversation earlier of how you were saying of, like, you need to try harder to have you tried everything that you can? Remember we were talking a little bit earlier about, like, you know, working in a relationship, it's hard, but you need to put that work in and don't give up. And I think it's because society says things like that, so that it makes us feel of, like, did I try everything I could? And so it does run us to the ground, because ideally we don't want to get a rock bottom, but it happens. That happened to me. I would literally go to work, be so drained knowing that I'm coming to a household that I am not happy in, that I would sleep on my couch until it was 9 p.m. to go upstairs, shower, and sleep again until it was time. Like, it was just a cycle, because I hated being here. Because I was not here, but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, I come home. Yeah, I come home. I'm not, like, you know, you want to be greeted and be, like, upstairs. Like, it was just like, you know, but, so I think, like, yeah, we don't want to, but I think we learn from it, because now I know, like, I won't let myself get to that point. I say that, but you know what I mean, you know, like you said, like,
so all of you and all of us will hold Karlie accountable if we see her signs.
No, I think now now I do want my friends to say something. I think back, like,
I
you
think
guys
everyone
knew, you
did.
wouldn't listen.
I think
I don't
everyone
know.
did, but then everyone would give you the feedback, and then you would go back to that ex, and then we would be like, okay, well, she's back with him. We're not gonna fight with you because we
Yeah.
support you as a person,
But you
and we're
made
gonna
your
have
decision,
like we
yeah.
weren't gonna say you need to leave him. I've done that to you, but when. Like, when I said, oh, fuck that dude, fuck him. But then when you got back to him, I was like, okay, well, I'll support your decision because at the end of the day, y'all's relationship. And I didn't realize it was, like, to that extreme of, like...
Yeah.
But here's the thing is I
Consistent
wasn't
fuck-up,
willing to listen to you guys, but I think now I realize, like, my friends know me. You know, like, y'all know me. So I think, like, now, like, I want your guys' feedback. Like, what do you think?
It's recorded.
It's recording.
Yeah.
But I really do. Like, I think I'll be more open to it.
I'll hold you to it.
Okay, do it. I dare you.
She was like, yeah.
Should I pop? Not again. Not again.
So going back to Shamina, do you think, like you said, you waited like that semester, and that's what do you think time is like one of the variables that we look at when we're making a decision? Like I know for me in my last relationship, that's why I say now I'm like, well, it's been this long. I don't want to go out I don't want to go out and find a new one and put all that into something else.
Yes.
And like I gotta stick
Because
with
they're
it.
reliable.
Right.
They are reliable, but not consistent. Like,
Yeah. But no, she's saying like I invested like 3
Yeah,
years. Like, am I willing to like give that? That was me too. Of like I just put all this, like
Right.
I gave you all my eggs in one basket, and now you're just cracking them.
Right. Here's your omelet.
With shells.
I do think time is a factor because if we want to see changed behavior, we have to give it time, or we have to allow.
But how much?
That's a personal decision.
I need to know.
And again, if I had those answers, I'd be a millionaire.
I know, right?
I don't have to work in my job anymore. Sorry, everybody. But there has to be some amount of time, but it's again like your own personal boundary. And even I can remember I sat in my therapist's office and I was like, I wasted 4.5 years of my life, and she looked at me and she was like, Shamina, you did not waste anything. You learned what your boundaries are, how to put yourself first, all of this stuff, and so that kind of put it in perspective. But there was a lot of like self-loathing of I just wasted so much time, or I'm gonna have to do this again. But I think that's the gamble of being vulnerable in relationships, is that whether it's friendships, family, romantic relationships, is we put in the time and we put in the effort. And that's the beauty of being vulnerable, but it's also the really hard part of recovering and healing.
Yeah.
so
Take me out the game, coach.
you were saying, remember how you said when you see a red flag, you're like, screw this guy, screw him?
That was
Earlier-
my extreme. I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm being better about that, but no,
Yeah.
definitely after when I was like, going through that healing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I would see something that they would write, and I'd be like, hell no, and then Michelle would be like, that's not what they meant.
Well, so like, you know how like you said your ex like fell through with plans.
All
So
time.
if you were talking to somebody new and like they fell through with plans, like that's the whole vulnerable thing. It's like, damn, like I don't want to talk to you again because you're not being reliable and stuff. Like, how do you be more understanding in the future of somebody that you are meeting?
But I feel like if that's already how they're presenting themselves, for me, first impressions are huge. So, like, I went out on a date, a dude was an hour late, and another dude was like 40 minutes late. I'm sorry, but like, those are really big things for me. So for that, I'm not giving you another chance. I'm sorry, this is the first time we're meeting and you're already 40 minutes late? No. So for me, like, I don't give another chance. Because this is like, we're getting to know each other, and so you're showing me that,
Well, behavior is a form of communication, and I think I talk about this a lot with my clients, is that, they'll be like, Shamina, I saw this, and this, and this. And I said, so they've shown you consistently that they can't show up for you, that you can't trust them, but we rationalize it, or we give them another chance, or what have you. But our behaviors are such a big form of communication, but we miss the signs.
But what I'm saying is like, if they don't know you, right? So they don't know, like, you're very sensitive to little things like that, right? So, for example, if I have met somebody and they don't give me the attention that I want, I'm like, screw you, but they don't understand, like, I think, like, this goes back to communication. Like, it takes a lot to be like, oh, so what's your love language? You don't go up to somebody and be like, hey, like, my love language right now is I like physical touch, and I
bring
like
it up.
words of
But
affirmation.
that's
But that's what I'm trying to say is, like,
that's boundary. You
But you're asking.
then I'm like, overly sensitive because I'm like,
But that's okay. You shouldn't feel bad about that. And you will
Certain
find
things you
someone who will
communicate,
appreciate
too.
you for that.
Like showing up late on a first date, come on now.
yeah,
Like,
no, for
that's,
sure.
That's obviously something that you
Yeah.
need to appreciate that I'm giving you my time. Like
Yeah.
anybody. But like that kind of stuff you obviously would have to communicate about. Like if
I
you
ask
want to
about
build a
love
relationship,
language.
you know?
I texted Sea Dog. But I was like, what's your love language?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to let you know mine's words of affirmation. I want to
Yeah.
hear it.
Some people
Yeah.
don't know their love languages though.
Well, there's
Send
a
us
test.
a link to the quiz.
Take this. Take 10 minutes.
For real. I'll send you the link.
And I think
It
it's
takes 2
beautiful.
minutes.
But you can't be disappointed if you haven't communicated your boundaries and something
Yeah.
doesn't show up in the way that you
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's
Yeah.
more. That's
How
like
would you do that to
mind
somebody
reading.
that you're initially starting with? You know what I mean?
Or like, yeah, you're just going on.
Hey,
a
these
first
are my
date.
boundaries, so don't fuck it up.
No, you
Or
can
just,
play like
naturally put it into the
yeah.
conversation.
Like if they like you're saying you want attention or something, and then you could
Not, yeah. Like,
But you could be like,
appreciate
oh, like,
me
I-
being, like you said, appreciate me spending time with you. Or
yeah,
in
you'd
the
be
same
like, oh, I
vicinity,
really like hearing that you enjoy being with me or something like
Yeah.
that,
Or even like in the moment and they're doing something that you like, point it out. So like, you know, if Stephanie likes physical touch and we're on a date and I reach out and, you know, I touch her hand or we hold hands or what have you. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what
That
you
was
do.
such a-
Isn't that
I
a
like
thing,
that.
though? Like you do something that you want done to you.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that like a thing?
yeah,
That
like
could
you
be.
mirror. So like
Yeah.
for me, I like words of affirmation, so I like to tell like
Right.
my friends and people.
But just that isn't enough.
No,
No,
I
you
think
like-
I'm all 5 love languages.
No, what I'm saying
She's
is,
saying
I'm
just
saying
doing it.
just
isn't
doing
enough.
it isn't enough because that's implying that the other person is gonna know that that's
Yeah.
what you want in return. They're thinking, oh, that's just how you
Oh no, you need
express
to tell
love.
them. You're
Right,
saying
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but like,
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
getting to know
absolutely.
somebody,
Like,
like, you're not
saying,
gonna say,
I like-
But
I like when you
what
play my leg.
Shamina
I'm
was
not gonna
saying,
say that. You know,
no, but what
Yeah.
Shamina is saying is when someone does something that you like, you have to say
Like
it.
making sure they
And
Yeah,
it's
yes.
it is uncomfortable, but I think it really is important, especially early on.
but what if
Yeah,
they
like,
never do it?
No, like let's say something simple like a good morning text.
Yeah.
Let's say you love good morning text, and when they do it, be like, oh, like
Like 3 times.
That-
Oh my god, I love when you say good morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think
you
it's
know,
okay.
and so that's like that positive reinforcement. They're gonna want to continue
But
to say good morning. But if you never say anything about their good morning,
they're
they're
gonna be
gonna
like,
wake
oh,
up and be like, oh, whatever, I'll just text her,
Okay.
you know.
But I
throughout
think
the
it's
day.
just as important to let someone know what you don't like when they do it.
Mhm.
So, like, if
Absolutely,
someone, like, you know, because I'm not really a big fan of playful being mean. I don't like that. I don't think the
Oh.
point. You know, like, if you're like, I don't know, like,
big head.
yeah, you're big headed.
I know.
I don't like that. Like, I think that's just mean. Like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, like, I don't know, because I don't like to do it. No, itty bitty titty bit, you know, but like, you know, like, I think that, like, and I'm just playing. It's like, no, that hurt my feelings. Like, I don't, that wasn't funny, you know, like, I don't know. But so I think it's important to also be like, I didn't like that.
Right.
But how often do you think you do both? Like, saying the
Not at
negative
all.
versus the positive
Not often at all.
on either?
I think I'm
Focus more on
starting
the
to
negative?
I think I'm starting to open up to say, hey, because I'm thinking recently of a text, and I remember someone said something of like, oh, I gotta stop, I'm complimenting you too much. And I was like, no, I like hearing that I'm a words of affirmation. So, like, I made it like, no, I like to hear those things. And then that's how it got into the conversation of what's your love language. And then I was like, so mine is this. And I was like,
And
my
I,
percentage.
and I love that too because I feel like that shows that he cares what you like too. You know,
Yeah.
like he's also kind of bringing it into the conversation to learn more about what you do like. You know,
Yeah, well, because then I think he told me what his were, and then we kind of had a conversation of like, oh, like we're kind of like different in some areas, but also, you know, like, because I didn't realize for me, my last category is physical touch. I would have never guessed that, but apparently I don't care
Do you
for
think it's
touching.
because of your last relationship?
Yeah, because I feel like
You
you're
can see
always
that, but I
touching.
don't like
You know what I
touching.
mean?
Yeah.
You've never been a touchy-feely person ever.
I will say I've not really been big on PDA, but here's the thing. In my last relationship, I wanted it so bad, but I
Yeah.
think I just wanted it for that, like,
Affirmation,
security.
comfort,
Yeah, that security of, like,
But like,
you're with
You
me.
want me.
but like,
Right.
you don't care to hold hands in public.
No, I think I like to.
But that's physical touch.
Yeah.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
The
That's why I'm
last-
saying
it's the
I'm
last on the
surprised
list.
that it was the
Oh,
last
okay.
on my list because I think that I do like, but I will say, remember when I told you I went on a date and the one dude I felt like he was trying to touch me and I was just not
No,
for it. I was
'cause you
like,
were
please
just
don't touch me.
worried
please
about
don't.
Love
that.
language just changed.
No.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
No,
I think
and
that makes
that
sense,
you
too.
didn't see that person like that.
Yeah,
so of
that-
course you
yeah.
don't want them to touch you. But
Yeah.
if it is someone that you see it
Yeah.
at a deeper level, you know
Yeah,
what I
I'm
mean?
gonna
If
want
you're a
that touch.
physical touch person, you're gonna want them
Yeah,
to
I
touch
just
you.
don't think it's my biggest.
And it makes sense because you didn't get that in your last relationship either.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
So now
I
it's
need it.
yeah.
So I've always thought that like, well, this is a whole other conversation.
Right.
Love languages. I'm here like about to say I've always thought that my last one was like receiving gifts
Yeah.
because I've always thought like expensive things. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
But like just the thought that
Mhm.
you got me this, like you
Mhm. You
thought
think
about
about
me,
That's what I do.
that
for
is a
Yes.
lot.
I like
Yes.
getting things because
I
I'm like, this
love that.
reminded me of you.
Yes. Just
So
so
I'm
But
like,
you
really-
want that too.
No, I don't like getting gifts because I'm like, bro, like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, mine is like quality. So my first one is physical touch, and then quality time, and then words of affirmation, and then
acts of service.
That's mine.
yeah, acts of service,
Really?
and then gifts is my last one. I don't really care for gifts.
Receiving.
Any gift, like, I mean, I give gifts, but
Right,
I
right.
don't. Yeah, I don't really care to receive gifts. Like my mom got me flowers the other day. I'm like, I appreciate it, but I would love to like cuddle next to you and watch a movie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think because like growing up, like my dad literally would rub my back for me to fall asleep. So that's why I'm like, I like,
love that.
Right.
yeah.
I
So
like the scratching.
Give me a massage, scratch my head, scratch my back.
yeah.
Scratch my leg.
But I think that shows like I care about you. I want you to feel good. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Right.
I think
Right.
yeah.
All right. Let's
Wait,
move on.
wait. I just want to know your guys's because they kind of went over theirs.
I think my top is
You
acts
didn't
of
go-
services, but I don't know the rest of mine. should
I
say
think
acts of
that's
services.
so interesting. Just because for me, I think I have such a negative connotation with acts of services.
Because y'all were trying to like,
Because in my last relationship,
Like,
I
you
felt
would
like I
make
had to
lists.
do everything.
Or
Oh
no.
yeah, like
Yeah,
we
listen.
like towards the end we made a list of like who did the dishes the most
like
because
keeping tally charts on.
Yeah,
your
That's so
phone.
yeah.
stupid.
No, for me,
I don't even want to get into that.
What the fuck?
That's a whole other episode.
No,
That's
red
a
flag,
whole
red
different-
flag, red flag.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, that was my second chance.
But so I think I have such a negative like
Right. Experience.
experience with acts of service that when for me it like makes me cringe when someone says that's their main one because I'm like that in my head, and I know it's not accurate, but in my head I'm like, so you just want me to do everything for you.
no.
I know that I
Yeah.
know it's not correct, but that's just what I have in my head because I think my last partner, that's what they thought acts of service
Yeah.
was. So it was like, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm going to work, I'm trying to do all this, and it's like I can't do it all.
I
you
feel
know?
like it'd be like, oh, hanging up this picture, that's an act of service.
Yes,
I'm
and
like,
that's
thank
it.
you,
Like,
I
I'm too
appreciate
tired
it.
of having
Yeah,
this.
like, I don't know how to hang up this
Yeah.
picture.
Okay.
And
Like,
that's,
got
I
you.
think that's
Like,
accurate,
yeah,
but in
not
my head, I
doing
just,
everything for you. Like, no, that's
Right.
being a bit, like,
Right.
vague.
yeah.
I think it was more like the traditional gender roles
Oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
as opposed to like
Not
acts.
really.
I am woman, hear me roar.
I mean, what from
She was
your
pretty
part,
clear,
but
though,
not on him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was.
I was the man and the woman.
Yeah, I was like, wow, she had a baby.
Mine are, I think it's time between acts of service and quality time.
Okay. You like some cuddle time?
I don't know about cuddling.
No, like watching a movie
Spend-
together.
Yeah, watching
Yeah.
a movie.
On
or
separate
something.
ends of the couch.
My knees.
I would be fine with that.
Really?
Or,
I think I
or-
would be too.
Or even just
Do what?
like
Sorry,
my partner and I.
separate.
I'm into reading a lot more this year, so I will sit on the couch and read, and he'll watch TV. And
Yeah.
that means a lot to me. We're
Yeah,
on two
for
totally
sure,
separate
yeah.
couches, or like I'll go into the bedroom, he's playing his video game, but we're coexisting.
Right.
in
I
the
love
same
that. Like
space.
you can just spend time with each other and not
Yeah.
don't even have to speak.
Mm.
You're just like,
Yes.
we're
And you
present.
know, the quality time is my second. And when my roommate, it's when he's off, I love when he'll just lay on the couch when I'm working.
Yeah.
We don't even talk, but just knowing that someone else is in the room next to me, I'm like,
Right.
I like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying before, he would be upstairs, you'd be down here.
yeah,
like, hey,
and I
we're not
hated
doing-
it. But
Right,
like, just
exactly.
like, oh, you want to be in the same room as me?
Mhm.
Like, okay, and to me it's like we're hanging out, but I'm working and he's just chilling. But I love it because I'm like, that's like to me it's such a big gesture.
Yeah.
Like it means so much to me that you were willing to just come down and do whatever you want to do, but on the couch to be in the same room as me.
Mhm.
Right, Blue?
All right. Are you guys feeling emotionally full? Because I think my social meter is little tapped
I'm
out
ready
here.
for number 2.
Oh yeah, girls'
So
night.
we want to thank our guests. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Michelle, Oksana, and Carrie for coming on, letting us crash girls' night and do a podcast episode.
And Blue.
And Blue, of course, Blue. Look at her lips.
I know. I love when she does that when her lower lip is like.
So we want to know. What do we want to know from our viewers, Karlie?
What's your second chances? I don't know. What's your love language? What's your second chances look like? What's your boundaries?
Yes.
What's the one thing you don't give second chances on?
Yeah. What's infidelity to you?
It's a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Let
no
us
one.
know.
Come on, comment.
Comment
Comment. Let us
below.
know.
DM us on the gram. Comment on Facebook. Let us know. We will see you guys same time, same place.
Next week.
Bye.
Bye.